Spinster here. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I'm going to be doing one of my high fives, which are my 5 favorites at this moment of any given thing. And I'm going to do patterns today with patterns and designers, I guess, with a modern twist to them. So I'm going to start out with this one, which is called Freewheeling Single Girl, and it's from Denyse Schmidt's Quilts. I will link all of these down below in the description. This one was so much fun to make, and you can use scraps. You can see that it's just sort of a ring that it's not a perfect circle. They're a lot of fun to make, and I love the scrappy look of it. There is a template set, acrylic ruler set that can help you to cut those curves, but you don't need those. I bought them just because I adore this quilt, and I will make another one probably. But the templates are included in the pattern, and it has sizes from baby to king. So if you don't want to tackle an entire quilt, you could just do a baby quilt, which would give you a chance to test it out and see what you think. So this is one of my favorites. Next up is So Kind of Wonderful. And they do a lot of modern patterns. And they also use when they say QCR pattern, it's the quick curve ruler. There's also a mini ruler. This is a really nice ruler if you want to do curves. Not necessarily perfect circles, but if you want to do curves and you're just not really confident about doing freeform curves, this is nice because it gives you the curve to cut that goes across a block like that, and then how to measure and trim it when you're finished. So kind of a handy ruler, and they've got lots of patterns. I have just a few of them here. One of them that I am making and I just love is, I don't know, maybe doesn't look quite so modern, but it kind of is, I mean, it could be a traditional flower pattern too, but this is Posh Penelope, and I downloaded this pattern. And this is a table runner that I made from that pattern, and I am working on a quilt because I love it so much, and I have seen photos of it. Other quilters have made the entire Posh Penelope, and it's just gorgeous. I love it. So that's So Kind of Wonderful. Then there are 3 designers that I kind of want to talk about. Some of them are one is relatively new. First of all, I'll talk about, this is Modern Quilt Studio, and this is one of their patterns which you can download, and it's just a 2-page pattern. One of the things that I like about their patterns is that they're very striking and dynamic, but they also aren't really difficult. So this one, for example, you've got lots of straight cuts and seams, but it's really a striking looking quilt, and you could change the entire look of it depending on what fabrics you choose. I'm also pretty fond of Modern Quilt Studio, which is Weeks Wringle and Bill Kerr, or Carr, I'm not sure which one, sorry. And they have done a lot for a lot of years, actually. They've been making modern quilts since probably modern quilts became a thing, as far as I know. The Weeks is the one that really got me turned on to modern quilts. I took a class on Craftsy that she did, and it was really inspiring and wonderful. So I'm grateful to Weeks and Bill and their company. They got me started on modern quilts. Next up is an Instagram friend of mine. We have yet to meet. We were going to try to do it at the MQG conference, but I'm not going to make it. Anyway, this is one of her more recent patterns. She's a relatively new pattern designer, but I love her stuff, and she's having such fun with it. This is Nancy, and This one, I love this one especially. Well, you know, I like solids. I would probably, of course, do white and then change this white to black. I might reverse them, but it really, with these colors, it really is striking against the black. So it's just beautiful. And she writes a good pattern. So check hers out. She has some more coming. There's one, I've seen the finished quilts, photos of the finished quilts for Square-Headed Girlfriend and Square-Headed Boyfriend, which looks like it would be pretty good for newer quilters. And then she has another one that she just got the quilt back from the quilter, and it's more, it's less symmetric than Nancy often does. So I, again, will put the link down there and check out her, actually Instagram. You could check her Instagram, is a lot of fun too. And also her website and shop. And then finally, there's Heather Black, and her business name is Quiltachusetts. She's been designing modern quilts for a while. She has some really gorgeous things. She's got a couple books as well. Lovely lady. And this, I've recently downloaded this. I've just been hankering to do this one. And this is very much her kind of style. It's not really bold, bright colors usually like you see on my quilts. She has these little bit softer tones, definitely still light, medium, and dark, but softer tones than I typically use, and I love it. And she does beautiful quilting too. This one, I keep this book by my bed, so if I can't sleep, I can just turn on a light, grab a pencil, and do some sketching or write down some ideas. And I went in last night to write some things and started going through it, and I was amazed. This is really synchronicity or something. I ran across this thing. This is from years ago, buried in here, called Dutch Treat. And it's pretty much the same sort of design. Now, Heather did a much better job with hers than I would have done with mine, but I really love this one. I haven't started it yet. As I said, I just downloaded it, but I really love it. So Heather is also on Instagram, and I'll put the link down below in the description for her. She's at Quiltachusetts. Quiltachusetts. Now, I do also want to talk about a few of my patterns, and I'll limit it to 5 that I think lend themselves to a more modern sort of look. And I know this sounds terribly self-serving, and I guess it probably is, but these are the patterns that I know the best are my own. So I'm going to share a few of these with you and give some ideas for how they might be made even more of a modern look. This is Roots and Branches, which is still one of my favorite designs, and I've seen it done by lots of different people, and I like all their variations. Mine has these batiks and black. I had a friend who did one at a retreat, and she used a really rich golden brown kind of color and fall batiks. Oh man, that was beautiful. It was gorgeous. I am doing it, I did it for a class. This class is on Skillshare. I did a class on that, and I started doing one in a lighter colored batik that will eventually be on my bed. And this is a block for it. But you could do this in, say, white for me, with white strips in the middle and solid colors here, or more modern prints. And it's a lot of fun to do. It's got a little bit of improv in it, in that you're slicing these blocks in sort of random places to insert those strips. So that's Roots and Branches. This one is boxed in. It's in my house somewhere. It's buried so that I can't find it at the moment, but it will be heading off probably to my brother's house anyway at some point. But this is boxed in, which really is more modern than I had been doing prior to this. And it's where I start going into the whites and the solid colors a lot more. And this one's fun to do. It's not difficult. It's one that uses the one where you spin around, do partial seams and spin around. So you do that in that area there. And it's kind of fun. It's not difficult at all. This one is currently hanging in my living room, so you get a photo of it. The colors are actually a little brighter than you see in here. And it's easy, a lot of fun. It used, looks like a jelly roll and 5-inch squares. And it's just a fun way to display a lot of different fabrics. And again, you can make it just about any kind of character or personality you want, just depending on the fabrics that you use. Going up, I didn't have a printed one for some reason. So this one is very easy. It uses 5-inch squares. And I designed this for my local quilt shop. I think it was for a bus trip, maybe, where every shop they went to, they collected these solid colored squares and offered a pattern for them. So I designed this pattern for the shop. Very easy to do, and it's pretty quick. You, again, whatever character you want to give it with the fabrics. And then Night at the Improv, still one of my favorites of my patterns. I say that a lot about my patterns, but this one really is. I also have a Skillshare class on this one, Night at the Improv. And this one I use batiks. And I like it, but you know, it's not really a terribly modern vibe with those fabrics, although the sort of random slicing is. And for another class that I taught on Skillshare, this one, I made some samples and I used more modern fabrics. So in this case, I used this black and white print, and white as the background, and then solid colors for the squares. So that one, I have the squares cut because they're 10-inch squares. So that one's a work in progress. And then I also, I use those as pre-class samples. And then these I used as demo for the class. And in this one, I'm using an ombre fabric, which goes from dark to light. And you can see here, there are different variations in the dark and light of the gray. And this is from, I think, a Kimberbell. Pretty sure it's Kimberbell fabric, 10-inch squares. So those are my 5, and I just happened on this one. I'm terrible. I know, I just know my patterns so well. This one is Rosalind, and it's not the greatest photo. This again is from my batik phase, which I'll probably never grow out of, but you know, when I was doing mostly everything in batiks. I think this one would be great as a more modern kind of thing. You could even drop these, like do a half drop down here, move them around, whatever you wanted to do. It might also be a way to use those 2.5-inch squares you have. Pretty sure that's what I use, I'm guessing. And then all kinds of fabrics you could use in here. You wouldn't have to use the same one. You could vary them a lot. So I'm thinking I might want to do that one in more modern kinds of fabrics. By more modern, I probably mean solid. So that is for today's high fives. So I hope you're having a good new year and that you have a successful and very quilty new year ahead of you. I will see you on Wednesday when I have some more 2.5-inch square ideas. We're doing kind of part 2 of the Funky Pineapple. So until then, be well, be happy, be quilting. Peace out.